So the Ancient Lakes hike starts in this sort of parking lot, for lack of a better word. It's more of a, strip of like gravelly road with a spot that cars can park in. And that picture is looking away from the trail, but in the other direction is the trail. And you start walking down it, and it's like sort of rocky, but not like big rocks. It's kind of more like gravel almost. And as you walk, there's like, of course, all the like, little shrubs and stuff, but you see these waterfalls off in the distance, and they're like pretty far away, but they're still really pretty, like way cooler in person than these pictures can ever convey. And I definitely spent like most of the hike, while I could see them, just like turning my head just to see them because they were so cool. So when I went on this hike, I went with my fiance and his brother and his nephew and my future mother-in-law. We hiked out, and that picture is about like the first ancient lake you see. And then we set up camp basically in the worst place possible. It was super windy that day. It was so hard to set up a tent, and we set it up in the like most exposed part of this entire place for some reason. I don't really know why, but it was really pretty because when like the whole time we were sitting there, we were just looking down at this lake. So after we got camp all set up, we decided to hike around since the hike in is so short and we had a lot of time on our hands. So we started going up this trail that takes you up one of the kind of like mountain type things, and the views from there were so beautiful. And you could just see like all the lakes, and you could see so far in the distance. It was beautiful that day. There were obviously, you can see in the pictures how few clouds there were and just the sun shining down on everything. It was so nice. And then we spent quite some time up there, especially because my nephew wanted to sit down and throw some rocks off the cliff because, who doesn't want to do that? But we just sat there and talked and threw rocks and just really took in the scenery. It was beautiful. As the sun started to set, we hiked down and we ate dinner at camp, and then we hung around one of the lakes and spent way too long discussing what animal this was in this pond just swimming around. And it was definitely like a mammal. It was not a snake like we initially thought. I don't know what took us so long to decide that.
Doesn't seem like it's doing an S, and I thought snakes had to do an S.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I think part of the S is underwater.
Yeah.
The head's too small.
I think it's probably a snake. But... Okay, it's coming.
He's zigzagging. It's a very specific pattern.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a mammal. Mammals go every which way. I mean, they switch zigzagging.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. That's
Must
a really
be
cool
some
beetle.
kind of a mammal. Wasn't bird.
So after a pretty comfortable night of sleep, we got up, broke down camp, ate some breakfast, and headed out. One thing I will say about this hike as a warning is that you can't drink the water from any of the lakes or any other water source you may find around there because it's all agricultural runoff. So you have to bring all the water that you're going to drink. I guess that's a downside, but since it's such a short trip, it didn't really matter, and we had no trouble at all carrying enough water. So yeah, that's a rundown of backpacking the ancient lakes. I hope you take time to go on this trip someday because it's pretty awesome, and I think it's something everyone should do at least once.